Separation techniques. As we have heard about mixture, now we'll see how the separation techniques are done. To remove impurities from that are harmful and undesirable. For example, water to get in example nature condition. For example, if the water we get in nature contains different amounts of impurities, and it is not fit for us, then how it is separated? The impurities are cleaned. Okay. To obtain a useful compound from mixture. Example, to obtain salt from seawater, how it is done, and to obtain pure sample of substance. Example, gold is next. Gold. Example is gold. How gold is being prepared and taken out, and how we get the pure gold to make ornaments, and or from the ornaments how pure gold is separated and the alloy is taken out. Starting with separating solid-solid mixture. For separating solid-solid mixture, two methods are done: sublimation and dissolving. Sublimation, certain solids are sublimed. They convert into vapor after heating without changing into liquid state. This method is known as sublimation. Sublimation is used when one solid compound in the mixture is sublimed, the others are not. Example, ammonia chloride and sand when it is separated by sublimation. Ammonia chloride sublimed in the air, whereas the sand is not sublimed. So, on heating, ammonia chloride turns into vapor, leaving the sand behind. Next is dissolving. The method when one of the solid compounds of the mixture is soluble and the solvent of the other is, like example, we can give salt and water. Salt dissolves, leaving behind insoluble sand, and salt and water with sand, leaving the sand behind. If we mix sand and salt in a glass of water, the salt will dissolve, the sand will be remaining. So that is known as dissolving. This the soluble substance dissolves in the solvent. Next is separating solid from liquid mixture. There are methods is evaporation and distillation. Now see what is evaporation. Is the process when when substance changes from liquid state to gaseous state at a certain temperature. Heating increases the rate of evaporation. This method can be used to obtain solid compounds from the homogeneous mixture, that means solution of solids and liquids. Example, a liquid, for example, sugar water, when boiled, the water will evaporate and the sugar crystals or sugars will be left behind. Next one is distillation. In this method, separation of liquid from a soluble compound by first converting the liquid into its vapor and then condensing the vapor back into liquid is known as distillation. In this process, special round bottom flux is used for distillation, which is known as distillation flux. By this process, many valuable things like ether, it's a scent, or perfume is often pure, and it how it is made? The material from which they will take the distilled water it is been poured into a bottom flask, and then it is put into heating. And heating the mixture in the distillation flask, a liquid vaporize and solid compounds remain behind. When this evaporation start cooling, the vapors in the liquid compound condense into pure liquid. The pure liquid is then collected in a receiver or in a conical flask. The pure substance that is obtained is either distilled water or used for medical. Not distilled water, use a distilled portion of the substance from which the process is being used. If it is done in water, then it will be water, and if it is done with distilled things, then it will be if it is done with rose water, then the thing that is obtained is distilled scent. Okay. Here, this is the process. Here, it has been heated, it goes up, it passes through this channel. Here, the outer side, it is it is from the outer side, continuous flow of water, cold water occurs, due to which the vapor that is coming through this flask, it change into tiny drop particles, water particles, which is then collected in this flask, and this is the pure liquid. Then it is becoming distilled substance. Next is crystallization. Crystallization. A crystal is a solid having well-defined geometrical structures. When a solution containing a soluble solid is allowed to evaporate by slow heating, it becomes super saturated. On cooling, crystals of the soluble start forming slowly in the solution. Gradually, these crystals grow into a size and can be separated out from the remaining solution called the mother liquor, from where it is being created. This process is done to get pure sugar and salt crystals from the respective solution of water. Then is centrifugation. What is centrifugal force? Centrifugal force is the force which helps to move an object centrifugal force is a process where some particle is being churned in a very high speed, then the denser particles of the solution is separated. The example of this would be taking cream out of milk or from buttermilk. That is means when the buttermilk is beaten very fast, then cream come out from the buttermilk, and the heavier particles is separated and the liquid particles is being left down. The heavier particles floats up. So this is what centrifugation is. Due to higher speed of higher force, due to high, not higher force, due to the force that is used in this process is known, the force that is used in this process is known as centrifugal force. This method is also used in washing machine. Okay. Next, separation of liquid mixture. How do we separate? Separating from funnel. Now what is done? A mixture which is immiscible liquid can be separated using a separating funnel. The separation is based on the principle that the higher liquid floats above the heavier liquid. The separating funnel is a glass tube with a tap called a stopcock attached to the bottom. The stopcock used to control the flow of the liquid. How it is used. To separate, I am reading out the passage and making you understand. To separate the mixture is put in a separating funnel. There it is allowed to settle. It is allowed to settle so that the liquid comes down and the heavier liquid separating the layer above the other. The liquid forming the lower layer is collected in the container. When the liquid, for example, oil and water is mixed, oil is heavier, so it starts floating. The liquid or water is being collected down. Then the stop clock is open and the water is being separated out one by one. When the separation is completed, the stop clock is turned off so that the heavier liquids do not come back into the water. This is how separating funnel works. Fractional distillation. As I have told you what is distillation, water is boiled and all this is done. It is passed through a pipe where water, hot cold water moves so that the pipe remains condensed. So what is fractional distillation? In this, the miscible liquids can be separated. This method works on a principle that different liquids have different boiling points. This fractional distillation is used in oil refineries to separate different parts, different various useful substances from the crude oil. Crude oil, is very dirty, and when it is been cleaned, that as you have heard, the refineries, petrol refineries, there this process is used. How does it is used? The mixture is being boiled as distillation. It is being brought under boil. At a certain temperature, the volume varies. Temperature across the column varies. It is higher at the bottom and lower at the top. The vapor of the component with a higher boiling point condense, at the bottom of the fractionating column. The vapor of the component with a lower boiling point rise to the top, and of the column. This vapor are then allowed to pass into a condenser where they cool down to form liquid. This liquid is then collected into a container. As I told, this process is used in oil refinery. So nothing else to tell you about it. Next, lastly, combination method is used for separating separate components. For example, sand, salt, sand and grain. Grain is separated from the mixture by sieving. Then salt and sand is been separated by evaporation. So there are three processes. First sieving, then evaporation. Two processes: sieving, evaporation, which gives three different particles. Okay. Lastly, it is chromatography. Chromatography means color writing. It is a technique of separating a mixture of chemicals in gas or in liquid form. Chromatography has a stainer phase and a mobile phase through which the mixture is separated. It is based on the principle of selective adsorption.